Welcome to the Tyre Recycling Podcast. We are now here with episode 46 in our podcast series. We're rapidly approaching the half century of episodes, but a few more to go before then. Today, as usual, I am joined by Ewan Scott. I'm back in the hot seat after our last episode. Ewan, nice to see you. And what have we got in store for today's episode?
Today we've got an update on the Blackcycle project. Blackcycle is one of the R&D research and innovation projects funded by the European Commission under the EU's Horizon 2020 research programme. Its aim is to implement the concept of circular economy to end-of-life tyres at a European level. The Blackcycle project has an upcycling ambition targeting at creating a circular economy in the tyre industry by producing secondary raw materials from end-of-life tyres. According to Blackcycle, these secondary raw materials will be used to develop new ranges of passenger car and truck tyres, which will be sold commercially in Europe and global markets. Blackcycle Project Consortium is formed by 12 partners from 5 different countries. Orion, Ineris, Qantas, Icamsail, Aliapur, CSIC, CERTH, Cisner, Pyrum Innovations, Estato, Hera and Accelera, led of course by French tyre manufacturer Michelin. Today, we'll be speaking with Pascal Klein, the Managing Director of Pyrum Innovations, and Stelios Stefanidis from CERTH, a collaborating researcher at the Institute.
Excellent. This is our second podcast interview with Blackcycle. If viewers and listeners want to take a look at the first part of this, which we recorded about a year ago now, it was with Orion and CSIC. So if you want to refresh your memory and find out a bit more about the Blackcycle project, there is part 1 that we recorded with them last year. But anyway, let's get on to part 2 now. So let's get stuck into that interview right now.
Can you give us an update on the state of advancement of the project? The consortium announced the world's first production of sustainable carbon black in 2021, and in 2020.
Okay, so since the beginning, we as Pyrum, we have delivered 100,000 liters of oil, so 100 tons of oil more or less, to Orion. That has been distilled before in Spain, and that has then been used to fabricate SCB, and that is now used in Michelin's facility to produce the first tire. So the first tire has already been presented in the meeting in Spain.
Okay. So can you tell us a bit more about the sustainable carbon black technology?
In fact, instead of using crude oil, which is usually used to make virgin carbon black, for those who don't know how that is made, it is more or less you burn crude oil, and you more or less collect the vapors of that to create that carbon black. And the sustainable carbon black is in fact almost the same. You just use sustainable oil. So instead of using crude oil that comes from the ground, you use pyrolysis oil, for example, like the oil we have produced in the Blackcycle consortium to make sustainable carbon black. So more or less from what we learned, it can replace in certain areas virgin carbon black.
Okay, thank you for that, Pascal. Now, the next question is really over to you guys. It's a presentation, one from Pyrum and one from CERTH, on how you're collaborating for the success of the Blackcycle project. And I think, Pascal, you're first off with that one.
So we have been a team of people that have been mixed together in the Blackcycle consortium, which was for me quite interesting because many of those we worked together, I didn't know them before. So it is really nice in these European projects that you really get to know people from other European countries that are really working in the same field and that help you to look over the edge. So really looking on things that you have never looked on before. And I have to say that we learned a lot. It was for us a great success and also a good reputation to participate. And maybe Stelios can say a bit more from his side about it.
Yeah, so Stelios, tell us a bit about CERTH and your role in the Blackcycle project, please.
Yeah, so CERTH stands for the Center for Research and Technology Hellas. It was founded in 2000 and is a leading research institute in Greece. And it's listed among the top 20 EU research institutes with the highest participation in competitive research grants. CERTH is comprised of 5 research institutes, which overall employ over 1,500 people, the majority of whom are scientists and engineers. The Chemical Process and Engineering Resources Institute is one of the 5 institutes of CERTH and is the one that was involved in the Blackcycle project. CPER's mission is to conduct high-caliber research in basic and applied research, to develop novel technologies and products, and to pursue scientific and technological excellence in selected advanced areas of chemical engineering in response to the needs of the Greek and the European industrial and productive sectors. In addition to basic and applied research, CPER also actively pursues technology transfer as well as the development of new and commercial products and services. CPER's role in the Blackcycle project was the improvement of the properties of the pyrolysis oil that is produced from end-of-life tires using catalytic processes. More specifically, our efforts were focused on the development of the ex situ catalytic upgrading technology for the upgrading of the pyrolysis vapors produced from the pyrolysis of end-of-life tires, on the hydrodesulfurization of the pyrolysis oil, and on its catalytic post-processing to further increase its aromatics content.
Okay, so what are the major steps that have been achieved in the last 10 years regarding end-of-life tire pyrolysis?
Mainly, there was no market, I would say, at the beginning. So 10 years ago, when we started with our project or our first pyrolysis plant, we had no offtake. So we had tires, we had people who delivered tires, but the biggest issue was on what to do with the end product and to motivate the market to buy it. So there was in fact no market. So the market had to be built. And with partners like BASF, we had the big chance to bring in the oil into the market. For that was the only way of using the oil at the beginning. And thanks to Blackcycle and the advancement of the consortium, we found out that there's also other ways of using the oil and not just putting it into the chemical industry. And for us, it is very important that the oil is not just burned in order to get energy so that the oil is gone forever. So for us, it's really important to create really new products out of the oil, so also tires. And what we also found out is from the RCB side, most tire manufacturers didn't want to use it. It's a very security part of a car. You know, a tire is all our life depend on it. So it was really hard to convince the market to give it a trial. So to test recovered carbon black, and that slowly changes now. More and more tire manufacturers are using RCB content in their tires. We will bring out in 2 months the first tire that is made 100% of RCB. So there is a lot to come, and that market had to be created in the last 10 years.
And Stelios, in a similar theme, can you explain what CERTH has done to upgrade the pyrolysis vapours?
Yeah, so from our side, we developed a technology for the ex-situ catalytic upgrading of the end-of-life tire pyrolysis vapors. And we developed it from a laboratory scale to a medium scale process development unit and to a pilot scale unit. So in the first step, we tested the various different catalysts at the laboratory scale to identify promising catalysts that could increase the aromatic content of the end-of-life tire pyrolysis oil, because the aromatic content is very important so that it can be used as a feedstock for the production of sustainable carbon black. So through this study, we found several catalyst formulations that could significantly boost the aromaticity of the pyrolysis oil without increasing the pyrolysis temperature and with only a minimal reduction of the pyrolysis oil yield. And most promising catalysts in the medium scale unit, which was equipped with 2 reactors in series, one for the pyrolysis of the end-of-life tires and one catalytic reactor for the upgrading of the pyrolysis vapors. In this unit, we were able to independently control the temperature of the 2 reactors, and we optimized the pyrolysis and the catalytic upgrading temperatures. And finally, in the last step, we demonstrated this technology in a pilot scale unit using the best catalyst and using end-of-life tires provided by Aliapur, which was a Blackcycle partner. In this pilot unit, it consisted of a fluidized bed reactor for the pyrolysis of the tires, connected in series with either a fixed bed or a fully circulating fluidized bed reactor. And from this pilot plant, we managed to obtain about 40% catalytic pyrolysis oil, which had an aromatics content of about 80%.
Okay. Now, so back to Pascal. How has Blackcycle helped Pyrum develop knowledge about the industry?
So unmuted. So what we learned most is how the industry is thinking. So what is the industry really looking for? So that was a learning curve for us. I can understand the tire industry that they want most of the tire becoming a tire again. So that all the aspects of end products that come out of the pyrolysis is reinserted in new tires. So that was a learning curve. And the exchange was quite good. What I liked in the project is that when we met each other during the consortium meetings or steering committees, which thankfully after COVID have happened in live. So there was also during dinner time, a lot of time to have a drink together and to exchange. So that is really a thing that was, for me, one of the most important things. And that are the things that are not written on paper. But but we found new solutions on what can we do in the future. And if you use new raw materials, you need always a plan A, B, and C. And there's not just one plan A. So that is what the project really helped us all.
Okay. So overall, it's been beneficial so far.
Yeah, sure. It was stressful. We learned a lot. We had a lot of issues to solve. Can tell you, COVID was not easy. The war was not easy. Supply chain that crashed, and we had to find solutions. Machines that were not working from some partners, so others had to jump in to find solutions. Yeah, it was not a straight line forward, but we always found solutions by working together.
Yeah, cooperation is the way forward, isn't it? Now, the next one is for Stelios. How does it feel to collaborate with an industrial partner such as Pyrum? And have you previously been involved in a big European project such as Blackcycle?
Yeah, so we're very happy with our collaboration with all industrial partners in Blackcycle, and this is particularly true in the case of Pyrum, which is a pyrolysis technology company that operates commercial scale pyrolysis reactors. And this provided us with a lot of information and expertise, both from the process and from the analytical side. It was also important for us to have results from a commercial scale pyrolysis process to compare with our own data from our laboratory and pilot scale units. And this allowed us to examine scale effects between the laboratory, the pilot, and the commercial scales. We have been involved in similar European Union projects in the past with industrial partners. One of them was Cascade Bell, in which we originally developed the technology for the ex situ catalytic upgrading of pyrolysis vapors. And in that project, it was the case for biomass pyrolysis vapors. In Blackcycle, it's Tyre pyrolysis vapors. Most recent project was the next gen road fuels, in which we were tasked with upgrading hydrothermal liquefaction oil from sewage, sludge, and urban wastes. And the more current one that we're working on is called Upsalt, in which we are developing a thermochemical and thermocatalytic recycling technology for the recovery of mesoporous silica and heteroaromatic chemicals from basic carbon dioxide absorbents that are used in carbon capture technologies.
Okay. Now, the aim of Blackcycle when it was launched was to find, or one of the stated aims of Blackcycle when it was launched was to find a way of recycling back into tyres the 50% of the tyres not already recycled in Europe. So we suspect that the goalposts may have moved through the duration of the project because of COVID, because of the war, and because of industrial developments. How close is Blackcycle to finding a solution to tyre risings in Europe?
I don't know if Blackcycle is really finding the actual solution on how solving it in practical. It is more theoretical testing and application. If we really want to solve that issue, we need to build factories. So that is the thing we really need to do to solve the issue in Europe. From what we learned in the last years is that less and less tires are burned, which is a good sign. So cement plants are reducing the burning of tires. Sadly, due to energy crisis and mainly in Germany, to the giant energy costs we have since the war has begun. So many tire shredding companies are bankrupt or soon bankrupt or are fighting against bankruptcy. So the market is getting bigger and bigger. So all I can say is that we are getting tires offered every day, many more tires than we can handle. But what is missing today is passing to the action, meaning building facilities and actually recycling the tires. And we are ready to do so now.
Yeah, you seem to be taking a bit of a lead in Germany with the you have your plant at Dillingen with your 3 units, and you have an agreement in Bavaria and another one in Hamburg. So you're putting it to the test now.
Yeah, we are putting a bit more speed on that. Yeah, as we announced 3 weeks ago, the next plant is coming to be built in just 100 kilometers away, and there are many more to come. But one of the crucial things was really on how to put in the end products in the market, because being serious, if there's no offtake for the end product, there's no plant. So that is, in fact, there's enough tires, there are not enough plants. But what is changing now in the last months, I would say, or in the last year, is that the offtake is also there for the end products. And now the offtake is increasing rapidly. So everybody wants sustainable, recovered carbon, sustainable carbon black, oils, etc. But what is missing now, the bottleneck now, is the quantity of plants or factories that exist to produce these end products. And there we need to find some other European solutions to finance that, because that is the biggest issue we have in Europe. And there we have to fight a lot against the offshore markets, in which it is much more supported to actually build things, not doing R&D, but really building up things, building up a whole new industry strain. There needs to be more support.
Yeah, I think the question of support and investment is a whole different conversation we need to have another time.
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
So
Sorry, just cut that out if you want.
no, it's good stuff, Pascal. It needs saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's surprising how the market has changed, and it is changing quicker every year. This year at Tyre Tech in Hanover, we found that the tyre companies and the technology people there were actually willing to talk about recycling. You've got the big carbon black players are talking about recovered carbon black, sustainable carbon black. 3 or 4 years ago, they wouldn't even discuss the subject. They just didn't want to know.
Everybody wants it. Everybody wants, even the big virgin carbon black manufacturers. We are fighting against it. We are negotiating with all of them. Everybody wants quantities now, but you cannot. Quantities are not falling from the sky. So you really need to operate now units, and that is the bottleneck today.
Yeah, I think that's a bottleneck for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, CERTH has worked on innovative ways to improve the quality of pyrolytic oil. How do you see the integration of your results in the deployment of the Blackcycle value chain? And do you see further technical improvements that could be brought to the market by your academic research?
Yeah, our technology for the catalytic upgrading of the pyrolysis vapours could be implemented in the future, for example, by Pyrum to improve the quality of the pyrolysis oil in a way that in a catalytic reactor could be retrofitted on existing thermal pyrolysis systems to catalytically upgrade the pyrolysis vapours from end-of-life tires and produce in this way pyrolysis oils with increased aromaticity. Technical improvements through academic research could be brought on with the development of tailored catalysts that will further optimize the yield and the aromaticity of the pyrolysis oils. Regarding other work on the ways to improve the quality of pyrolytic oil, one of them was hydrodesulfurization, and our work revealed the conditions and catalysts that should be used in order for the desulfurization to achieve the target levels of sulfur that are desired in the pyrolysis oil. And finally, our post-treatment, catalytic post-treatment aromatization technology showcased that the pyrolysis oils could be further aromatized, although this comes at the cost of some pyrolysis oil losses. Here, techno-economic evaluation would reveal whether further aromatization makes sense economically or not.
Okay, and again, Stelios, your main work had the goal to improve the quality of the pyrolytic oil to make sustainable carbon black. Have you also worked on the improvement of recovered carbon black through the pyrolysis reaction or the yield of the pyrolysis in terms of percentage oil produced?
Our focus was to improve the quality of the pyrolysis oil in order to maximize the yield and the quality of the sustainable carbon black. The improvement of the recycled carbon black was the focus of a different partner in the Blackcycle project. Of course, academic work on pyrolysis conditions such as residence time and pyrolysis temperature, as well as on the use of different reactor types, could lead to improvements in the quality of the recycled carbon black. But this was not the focus of our group.
Okay, so now at your Zaragoza meeting, Javier de Jesus from TNU appeared to say that unpurified pyrolytic oil can be used directly as fuel for ships, so bunker fuel. Could you clarify that? My understanding is that there are tight restrictions on the use of bunker fuel. And in actual fact, a couple of pyrolysis people did comment on that statement.
So what I can say about that is clearly it is against our ethical goals. So we won't sell a drop of oil to be burned to move a ship or a car or a plane or whatever. So from what we know is it doesn't work. Pyrolytic oil has nothing to do with these bunker fuels that are used in ships. It's much lighter, or at least our oil that we produce at Pyrum is much too light, and the flash point is much too low. So for ships. So as said, our goal remains in reusing the oil to make new raw materials for products. We are not really concentrating any effort on bunker fuels or any use of energy for the oil.
Okay. And Stelios, have you a comment on that?
Yeah, I agree with Pascal. It's unlikely that it can be used unpurified as a bunker fuel. Of course, the oil is composed of hydrocarbons. So after processing, perhaps it could be considered as fuel for ships. But as it is, it cannot be used. One of the restrictions is the sulfur content, which is a bit higher than the current upper limit, which is 0.5%. So at least it would have to go through a distillation step and then the hydrodesulfurization step in order for it to be used as a marine fuel.
Okay, I must admit that it had been some time since I'd heard pyrolysis people talking about bunker fuel, so I was a bit surprised to read that. So finally, globally, if you had to describe your experience in that European project, how would you see your contribution and what would you say?
Yeah, so it was not our first, I would say, rodeo with a European project. So we know a little bit how it works. What is better to being in the seat that we have been now, not as project leader, but as project participant. As project leader, you have to do all the reporting to the European Union, which is really a lot of work. But from this status we are today, we are participants, so we do our work. So we learned a lot, as already said many times. We contributed a lot on every area. That's to say, from collecting tires, shredding tires, pyrolyzing tires, transporting oil all around Europe, and also now in all the steering committees and following sessions to discuss on what could be done more in the future. So yeah, and slowly now, nearing the end of the project, we are thinking on what can be done next. So it doesn't end, I would think, here.
Okay. I look forward to the next installment of this, and we find out where it's going now. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that brings us to the end of the official interview. So thank you very much for your time, both of you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you very much for your time and the questions.
So there you have it. That was part 2 of our series of interviews with the Blackcycle consortium. Ewan, this is obviously such a big project for the tire recycling sector, and especially with pyrolysis. So lots of different interesting areas that we covered there, from Blackcycle's position in helping to find solutions to tire risings in Europe, to the discussions regarding further research and academic work from CERTH, to even the discussion surrounding pyrolytic oil for as fuel for bunker ships. What do you think was the key part and key point of interest for you that you took away from that interview?
I think the key takeaway from this one is the simple fact that the tyre industry is moving forward with the use of recyclates. If we go right back to the introduction, Blackcycle stated that the secondary raw materials will be used to produce new car tyres and truck tyres. So there's a declaration right at the start that this is about putting tyres back into tyres. this has been a long time coming, and it's part of a wider change of approach in the tyre industry, where manufacturers have moved from talking about sustainability to doing something about sustainability. Without getting lost in a discussion about what sustainability actually is, I think one of the key elements has to be the circular economy and using recyclates. And after much discussion and much delay, we're now seeing the likes of Blackcycle taking tyre pyrolysis oil, making sustainable carbon black from it, and moving the market forwards. That the sustainable carbon black it opens up the market for recovered materials. The carbon black market for the tyre industry is absolutely phenomenal. So taking 1-2% of that is a big step forwards. And we heard from recently from carbon black producers that they're talking about sustainable products with 10% recovered or sustainable carbon black content. So we're seeing in Blackcycle, we're seeing an example of how the industry is moving forward, and it has to.
Yeah, no, definitely does have to. Okay, so that is our interview with Blackcycle, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to them again in the future and find out more about how the project is progressing and talk to more players within the consortium. Thanks for conducting today's interview, Ewan, and we'll be back very shortly with another episode of the Tyre Recycling Podcast.